We hope you had a nice, enjoyable lunch and enjoyed that beautiful outdoor weather. How blessed we are to have a few extra days that want to pretend to be summer just for us, especially us Southerners. We don't know what this Midwest thing is really trying to prove. But what a beautiful day. And so one of the things that we thought would be important in such a heavy day, right? We're talking about the sticky wickets, aren't we? So we want to just have a break in the sticky wicket conversations and have a little bit of theater, a little bit of dance, and then we'll go back to the sticky wickets because they are important and they are why we came. So first, theater arts students from the Alpha Psi Omega, the National Theater Honor Society, present to you a structured improvisation representing types of bullying in action. The performers are Bill Stindy, Imani McDaniel, Alex Vukan, and their advisor, their very dedicated advisor, is Dr. Chris Mitchell from Theater Arts. So following the performance, they're going to all come back out and sit in some chairs and have some dialogue with you. So please enjoy.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry, man.
What the hell, man?
What? I said I'm sorry.
I said, what the hell?
Larry, I'm sorry.
Come here, little animal. You think that's funny? Do I amuse you? You're nothing more than a little piece of shit! Let's go.
Weren't you paying attention in class?
Well, I actually just fell asleep, so.
Are you really that lazy?
No, not exactly. I just fell asleep. I was weird.
You can't just wake up at 8 a.m. It's not that hard.
Help me out here.
This is what I thought was going to happen.
Okay, how about aging and intelligence? Now, that is something really helpful.
How stupid are you? That was like the easiest thing in the chapter.
I'm sorry. I just didn't know.
Why are you here? Will, why did you invite him to this study room?
I thought this was just an open study.
Did you ask us permission to come?
No, I'm sorry.
Are you prepared for anything? You don't ask permission to come, you don't study, you fall asleep in class. What's wrong with you?
I don't know. I'm just asking for some help.
Why are you here? You're stupid. You're not helping us. Did you come to help us too, maybe? Or are you too stupid for that, too? Maybe you should sleep. Why are you here? Just go. No, seriously, go. Come on. Keep going.
I can't take it anymore. Every day, it's the same thing. Just wake up, and it happens all over again. We just feel so weak and helpless.
Just so helpless. No matter what I do, I just can't do anything right. Every day, I just wake up feeling numb, which makes things even easier for what I have to do.
And this way, I'll be able to be at peace. No more laughing, no more humiliation. If I stay here, it's never going to stop.
So this is goodbye.
Okay, so what types of bullying did you see?
Verbal.
Verbal? Let me get the microphone here. Right. Try. Here we go. Okay.
Can everybody hear me?
Okay. All right. So what types of bullying did we see today? Verbal? Physical? Say again, please. Emotional? Cyberbullying, yes, the first one. Yes. Okay. Tell me what you saw, how it took shape, what you saw in the characters and how they played it out. Anybody can jump in. Yes. Oh, good.
Each one was bullied. Immediately when we saw the guy in the center, you just assumed he was going to be the main bully. But yet, bullying comes in all shapes, sizes, and yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
All the people were bullies and they were stupid.
Yes, yes. Yes, ma'am.
My thought is, if we were to try to set up something like this at our school, is it more beneficial to have somebody from outside the school environment portray these characters than have some of our students portraying that?
That's a really excellent question. Guys, do you want to take that one?
I think it would be a lot more useful to have someone outside your school system do it. Just because if you use people inside your school, it's going to be a little bit more personal. Things might strike chords with others that are just a little too difficult to avoid using people that know each other that well. And
Other comments? What else did you see that?
It's not gender specific.
Good, good. You guys want to say anything about that, about your creation of the character?
She said that.
It was important to try the best we can to be accurate as possible. Because a lot of the things we watched, seemed very over the top.
It's so freaking campy.
Like as he said, very campy. And we wanted to portray something that was realistic, something we've all experienced, something real. And I feel that it's more effective that way if it's portrayed realistically.
The hopelessness and the fatalism of that last monologue that they did there, right? I think we were talking about how high the stakes can be, and I was talking to them about how different bullying is, for their generation than it was for mine. Going to high school, I'm dating myself, high school in the late 1980s when there were means of escape. We had things like slam books. I don't know if you've ever heard of those. Those are little notebooks people would pass around to, to denigrate other people. But there were ways of escape. There's not so much escape available with cyberbullying, right? That it becomes this constant hounding, and is that what you guys were trying to portray?
We also talked about just the use of cell phones. That's why we brought our phones instead of laptops or something, just because since smartphones have developed, it's become even worse because that's something that you always keep on you. It's right in your hand. So if somebody's going to say something mean about you, you're going to know instantly. You don't have to go home anymore and get on your laptop and pull up Facebook or Twitter or whatever. You can do it while you're out doing anything else. And so it's just more effective now to bully someone because you can do it anytime you want and they're going to know instantly. So we just wanted to make that point, I guess.
Phone, laptop, tablet, whatever. Right. It's just a short thing. Look at that.
No, it's, people have tablets, laptops, smartphones. It's this cross-platform thing. They can harass you from anything, any of these electronic devices to another now.
Also, to add to it, with so many different types of media out there, cyberbullying is probably the hardest one to control, and that's what makes it a whole lot more dangerous. I mean, go on YouTube. It's a zoo on YouTube, and it's really hard to monitor that. But I
graduated in 91, and we were talking about, like, when, when you be made fun of or something, you and your group were making school, making classroom too, and no. But now with this whole new generation of technology, not just these people know, everybody in town knows, everybody in the next town knows.
Oh yeah.
It's really hard to protect our kids.
Yeah, but I think also, and that's what's good about this thing, is that even though bullying can be furthered through the new media devices, I'm trying to think of the word, the awareness of bullying is probably a whole lot better than it was even when I was a kid, because I'm a little older than these two. And still a little older. But still, the awareness of it, of bullying, it kind of really does help a lot. So even if all this new media is a detriment, it's also a strength.
And that was another reason we didn't want it to be campy, just because you need to see how real it is, and it's not always going to be something that's so noticeable. You might see your cousin or your son or your friend just like throwing their phone down, just looking kind of sad. You're probably not going to do anything about it, you're not going to think anything of it. But just in that instant, such a small thing could lead you to realize something so big is happening to them. So you have to be aware and you need to pay attention just to the way that people around you are acting.
And really, sometimes we do it without even thinking about it. And that's what also is hard, even for the person actually insulting the other person. Sometimes you don't know how people will react. Like with our last scene, especially with people who are very sensitive, that was my thing when I was in high school. Because no one would ever want to mess with me physically, but they knew that they could get me emotionally. So it was a lot more with teasing and making fun of and just bad mouthing and all that stuff. That you're doing it, and that's kind of what makes even mental, physical, psychological bullying very difficult to control as well.
If I can at this point, I'd like to ask Dr. Mildred Pearson to join the conversation, because it's important that we understand there aren't all these disparate things going on today, that there is one unifying theme, and she wants to make sure before we leave that everybody gets the POV. What's the POV? The point of view. Okay, Dr. Pearson.
Thank you so much. I want you to reflect back on those themes that you just saw as they act out, or the improvisation of these scenes. Let's talk a little bit about, in reflecting on those scenes, how do you apply the cell components? That's the POV, the point of it. So if we're talking about social emotional learning standards, and there are 5 competencies. I heard one, I'll start. This young man, give me your name, please. Alex made mention of self-awareness. That's the first one. Are you with me now? Self-awareness. I believe in my heart that people are aware of bullying, but I've taught the social and emotional development course here at Eastern for 11 years. We have to move now beyond awareness. So out of those 5, what did you see that we should extract? What are some takeaways for educators or academicians, or even future educators? Yes. Come to the mic, please. This is part of the talk.
Again.
Said that exclusion is an effective form of bullying.
Ooh. She said that exclusion is an effective form of bullying. And so if we were to apply one of the cell components, which one would it apply? Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, or responsible decision-making. It may fall in more than one category. Anyone wants to tell me? Because I love that she brought up social exclusion. Actually, some literature says social/relational bullying is long-lasting. It lasts the longest. I have some students here. Which cell? Meg? Good job. She said social awareness would be one of the cell components or competencies that fall under. And can you tell me why, Meg?
Because like Alex said, sometimes they don't really know that they're doing it, so they need to be improved.
So unlike being just self-aware, you need to know how your actions affect others. So like Alex said, sometimes you don't even know how things are going to be taken, or you're not sure like how your actions influence others, so you really need to become aware of that.
For social awareness, we can begin looking at things from a different lens or a different perspective. For example, it was said the word freak, I'll use that as an example. The word freak may be used in one context or culture very differently than it would in another culture. The word freak may say it means what in the African American culture. It may not have been offended, right? But in another culture, that's very offensive. Are you with me? So social awareness deals with things like cultural differences and how are we similar? What are the similarities and that makes us even unique, right? Are you with me? So it deals with cultural differences. It deals with appreciating others and what they bring to the table. They bring to your classroom, what they bring to your community. That's social awareness. I also saw relationship skills when we use social ostracizing, because that deals with collaborating with others. We do a pretty good job in K-12, or at least maybe kindergarten through 4th grade, teaching kids about cooperating. Cooperation is the key. You gotta respect each other. But then bullying peaks in middle school and higher. And relationship skills are critical to any environment, even in the workplace. So I saw two, because we can ostracize people from groups at work. It's like, well, they're not a part of our community. So we have to really work at these two. That social ostracizing was powerful. What's another one that you saw? We'll take one. Yes.
I just have noticed that the bystander was also noticed in there, and that a lot of our kids don't really take the viewpoint that that is bullying, because they think they're not involved and they didn't get involved with it. I just thought it was kind of interesting to watch how they interacted and how the person that was being bullied reacted to the person who was the bystander, and really not doing the heavy bullying as most of us would have seen it.
Bystander is just huge. Dr. Patchen talked about it this morning. Thank you for those comments, because you're right. Teachers can also be aware that something's going on and not intervene. I gave my own lived experience, and I said, when I was socially ostracized, or when I walked in from one group to another room, and those girls said, we're going to get you. They're ready to jump me. And I'm like, what? Because I was in academic track, college prep courses, and because of jealousy, it's like, you think you miss Goody's two shoes. But then I had a sister, she was a fighter. And she was coming through that door. Don't you touch my sister. But if the teacher, what's different now is, my teacher, Agnes Virginia Williams, said, no, we will not have that in room 401. I remember like it was yesterday. Room 401. We're not having that in 401. She said, I'm appalled. And then she began to literally weep. You're hurting me. You know better. Those teachers back then, they intervened. So that's part of while we talk about prevention, we can intervene on their behalf. Just say, no, that's unacceptable in this class. That was excellent. That's part of that relationship skills and teaching them responsible decision making. Responsible decision making falls really well with bystanders.
I believe that we need to work on stop being so judgmental, because that is the first thing that we are. You don't even have to be doing nothing. All you have to do is look at it, and looking is will kill you these days. So judgmental is number one.
I think if we work as a community of learners, that's why we named our organization Bridging Voices in Our Communities. It's all of our part. If we will do our job, not sit in the seat of the judgment seat, is what you're saying. That goes back to that looking from a different lens or a different perspective, right? That's that third component, being socially aware. May I continue or?
Hit 4 and 5.
Okay.
One thing I was struck by was during the skit with the physical attack. I was actually not focused on physical attack. I was focused on what the woman was doing, where she was videotaping it. And I thought that, in long term, is probably going to hurt more than physical attack. So I've tried to connect it to the cell here, but I was looking at that thinking that's really bad here.
Again, that's that responsible decision making. She would then have to, that's that fifth component, she would then have to make the right decision. Although I'm videotaping this, I shouldn't upload it to Facebook. Although I'm videoing this, it's inappropriate to upload it or send it out on Twitter. Every last one of our actions affects someone else. So I'm glad you brought that up. I knew exactly where that cell fit. So as you're thinking about things that maybe you see in your classroom or you see in your community, verbal and emotional bullying is used a lot in communities, just in your neighborhoods, blah, blah, blah. Call it out, help people to understand the importance of, okay, let's come together and think about how words wound. I love that title of that new book he has, Dr. Patrick, Words Really Do Wound. And not all kids, or not all people, let me say this. This was posed on the radio the other day when we were doing live for this piece. Well, I just like to ask the speakers to make sure they, or say to the speakers to make sure they tell kids to toughen up. I did not have time to respond, but I'm going to say to you today, not all kids are going to be self-efficacious or resilient enough to bounce back from what's said to them, what's done to them, these actions. And if they were, we would have suicide as the third largest form of death. So while we say, yes, we want to teach our students how to toughen up, remember, that's another component. That's self-management, how to manage your emotions. And when things don't go our way, how to adjust. It's called metacognition. How to adjust. But even adults, we struggle there, right? So why do we want our kids to just toughen up and have some backbone? I think it's good to cry, which I found myself doing this morning in one of the sessions. It's a healthy dialogue that we're having now, because you are the ones that's going to do the work. And it begins with conversations like this. We first have to get ourselves educated about the very issues. And by the way, Illinois is one of the top leading states, Illinois and New York, as it relates to the social and emotional learning. Illinois and the state of New York leads this whole conversation. Okay, I did not want you to go back with like all these topics so heavy this morning, depression, suicide. So we've done something a little different, and I'm going to ask Ms. Imani if you would take us and share it with us. Let's give these folks a round of applause.
Wonderful, wonderful conversation. When Dr. Pearson and I had a wonderful discussion on Sunday to follow up on just the last point she was trying to make, because oftentimes the response is, we just got to teach her to toughen up, or he's just got to toughen up. And the question is, will there be room in our society for the tender-hearted? Shouldn't it be, why shouldn't they have to chill out? Why should she have to become tough and rough and essentially told she can't be who she is? So a lot of our challenge as students and as educators is to make room for the tenderhearted. Something to think about. But right now, we have made room for Triple B. This is Brianna Keys, Brittany Jones, and Barisha Keys. And they are going to do what we in the Black community call praise dancing. Enjoy.
Tech to the rescue.
Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring. My heart is torn in pieces. It's my offering. Take me to the king. Truth is I'm tired. Options are few. I'm trying to pray, but where are you? I'm all church out, hurt and abused. I can't pray, what's left to do? 'Cause truth is I'm weak, no strength to fight, no tears to cry. Even if I try, but still my soul refuses to die. One touch will change my life. Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring. My heart's torn in pieces. don't have much to bring. My heart's torn to pieces. It's my offering.
Somebody say amen. So when we talk about SEL or SEL or social emotional learning, there's another letter in there that we don't say but that we mean. I think we subsume it under the E, and that is spiritual learning. That is spiritual intelligence. And so I run a local Black Women's Health Network where I live called SisterNet. And our commitment is to the physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual health of Black women. And so it doesn't matter if any of you in the audience were or were not Christian, for instance. I think they spoke a universal language that did touch everyone, even if you aren't religious. And we need to take those breaks in our weeks, in our days, if we want to be spiritually intelligent, if we want to be spiritually grounded. So thank you, Triple Bs, for that. And thank you, Dr. Pearson, because when she organizes events, she always makes sure that all of those areas of intelligence are covered, including spiritual intelligence. So, before we go on our separate ways again to choose our various workshops, one of the things that we committed to, Dr. Pearson and I, in hopes to model for other people, was to be as transparent as possible, to actually be willing to make ourselves as vulnerable as possible. This vulnerable, this word is actually gaining new life and momentum. And it's my word for a while. And there's someone who says, you will never experience your whole life. You will never experience the amount of joy that there is for you unless you can allow yourself to be vulnerable. So that's something to think about. So I am going to disclose something that makes me vulnerable right now, that has to do with social emotional learning, and also there has been talk about the bystander. So this is a little talk, a true story about the bystander idea. Now, while we look like spring chickens, we in fact are not spring chickens, if you haven't figured that out by now. So when we were in high school, of course there's always been heterosexism, there's always been homophobia, but it plays itself out in different cultures and in different communities. So right now, I'm speaking from an African American perspective. So when I was growing up, you know, you're not supposed to, you know, gay's not good. We didn't actually use the word gay back then. That feels new to me, at least. But we had some not nice names that started with F, for instance, right? That just make me sick to even think of using again. So you had this outsider thing, but at the same time, gay men and lesbian women were still very much a part of the community. I mean, one of the jokes we always tell is, who the hell do you think it is leading your choir? Who do you think it is banging on that piano and that organ? Come on now, really? So, you know, so the preacher's up here saying all this homophobic stuff, but if that organ player didn't show up, he'd be some kind of sad, wouldn't he? Tell the truth and shame the devil, right? Yes. So interestingly, the black church is thought of as the worst place in the world for gays and lesbians, but in practice, it has been a home at the same time, right? So it's this idea of holding contradictory ideas or ideals in tension. In tension, there's tension between them. And that's one thing we have to do in our own social emotional learning goals, is to learn how to hold contradictions in tension with each other, that they can actually exist at the same time. So in high school, she and I actually went to high school together. You know, you always hear about the black table, right? At the integrated school, the black table. Well, we sat at the black table, but where we went to school was really about 60% black, so it's not like we were this small minority. So that didn't always apply, but we did have segregated eating in the lunchroom. And it wasn't, I don't think, nobody felt forced about it, but really if you looked around, the only mixing you might have seen was, you know, when we're roaming after we finish eating, you might stop at this table and say, hey, 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 that table say, hey, 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 maybe the athletes and the cheerleaders, yo, 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 whatever. But there were multiple black tables, not just one is my point, and the reason I'm saying this is important. So we had a young man who went to our high school who was gay, but nobody could be out then. Nobody could be out then. There were not out gays and lesbians when I was a teenager. People kind of knew, but nobody walked around and, you know, started a pride group or anything like that. So this gentleman, one of the other issues, because, you know, we got overlapping stuff. Nothing is one-dimensional. Stuff is really complicated, or what F. Scott Peck would call it's overdetermined. There's not just one reason, not just one trauma, multiple traumas that can build on top of each other and get you to the point where the 4 actors on this stage were considering suicide, if you didn't catch that. Yeah, you caught it. So, this young man, and he's all right, we've talked about it, so I'll say his name, Ronnie. He was another brother. Everybody kind of knew, oh, Ronnie's gay, but he wasn't actually isolated. You know, he sat at any black table too. Everybody was friends with him. Before he came to high school, he had been obese. And it was a really big issue for him. So you can imagine the bullying he went through as a young person being obese. Well, it was a big deal to him. He had transformed his body by the time he got to high school. And so he was quote unquote regular size. And that was really, really important to him. He even started what was called the Modeling and Grace Club, because his last name was actually Grace. So he started the modeling club. And so he then really got into all of that, right? He was dressed to the nines every day. He was very poised. And so, you know, some of that was him playing out some trauma, right? But not in ways that hurt anyone else. But here's what would happen at the lunch table. Everybody's having a good time, jabbing. But at the tables where Ronnie wasn't, or if he got up and left a table, somebody might make an anti-gay comment. Nothing that was ever conceived as mean or vicious, we thought was just something simple. Okay, so you got that backstory. It's the year after my freshman year in college now. This would have been, 3-4 years ago. What the backstory I just gave you, not how long I've been out of college. That's been several decades. So, the summer after my freshman year, he and I both ended up back in hometown, for a couple of weeks. Ronnie, let me tell you something. He was a year ahead of me. As soon as he graduated from high school, he caught the first thing smoking. He had to have his own life. And where did he leave? Where did he move to? Does anybody have a good guess? Go west. He moved to San Francisco, absolutely. He moved because it was a safe place, right? They had reached the tipping point in San Francisco. So he moved there because he knew he could just find out to be who he really was, right? And that was a safe place to do that. And he loved dancing and actually became a dance instructor out there, maybe like at the Fred Astaire dance studio or something. So anyway, he had become his own self by that summer that I came back after my freshman year, and we got together. And we're talking, hey, how you doing? Because we were good friends. And something else that happened to him, or I would say for him, in the Bay Area was that he found his voice. He found his voice. The first thing that I thought was completely hysterical is he had on a t-shirt that said, "Hard men are good to find." I'm like, okay, he's out. I thought it was hysterical. And he had never said to me or any of his other friends, "Hey, I'm gay." That still hasn't happened. But yeah, we know. And he had clearly finally come out if he was wearing a t-shirt like that, right? And so he said something really important to me that will last my whole life. He said, in the lunchroom at lunchtime, I knew that sometimes people said bad things about me behind my back, about me being gay. And he said, you know what? Because he actually had someone who was jumping from table to table spying. Never crossed my mind that such a thing was going on. And he told me there was a young woman friend who was actually bouncing from tables to see if anybody was saying anything. Isn't that deep? That's something else. So anyway, what was reported back to him was, Imani never said anything bad about you. She never said anything mean about you. She never ever even participated in the conversations and would end up leaving the table. And he said, but you know what? But you never spoke up. And that was when I learned this really important lesson. And all of you have heard this phrase before, silence equals consent. And I thought I knew what it meant. And I believed it because I've always been real political. Free Angela Davis, free the Wilmington Tent. You know what I'm saying? I spoke up. I knew how to speak up. And so I knew this idea of silence equals consent. But I didn't really know it until right then, until it was right in my face and it was about me. And oh my God, what a revelation. And I was so happy for him though, and I was so proud of him that he finally could be his true self and could confront me. Mind you, he didn't find me down the street and start cussing me out and be this and no. He did it as gently but as directly as possible. And then he let it go. He didn't say you should have done this or that. He said, I know you never said anything bad about me, but you never stopped them either. You just never said anything. And so I was participating by maintaining my silence. So I wanted to just leave you all with a story like that as you go into the workshops this afternoon. This question of bystander and this question of silence equaling consent. If you see someone being bullied, if you know someone's being bullied, you are participating in the bullying if you do nothing about it. We good? Solid. Let's go to our workshop.